So this morning, I'm going to talk about the leadership of Israel using Ezekiel 34. And as I have mentioned in previous video, that Israel's Roman-style government is a total and complete failure. Just like the Roman-style governments around the world are now, they are absolute abject failures, is what they are. So why am I just talking about Israel and their government, their leadership? Well, because there are scriptural aspects to this, and what is happening in Israeli politics is leaving Israel extremely vulnerable to their enemies. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with screen share and get rid of this and go to, well, we'll go to an article, BulgarianMilitary.com, and I could have used articles in the Jerusalem Post or Debka file, but they didn't really have a whole lot of information concerning Russia spoofing Israel's Ben Gurion airport. But BulgarianMilitary.com does, so I will use this article instead. Tel Aviv, and this would be, I guess, BM, I guess that is Ben Gurion Airport or something like that. Or no, this is Bulgaria. I'm sorry. It's early in the morning. Israeli officials accuse Russia of responsibility for the ongoing disruption to the satellite navigation systems of airplanes flying around Ben Gurion International Airport, learned BulgarianMilitary.com, quoting the Times of Israel. The Russian embassy in Israel dismissed the allegations as fake news that they couldn't respond to seriously. The issue has not yet caused any accidents or safety incidents, but has a significant impact on all aspects of operating a plane from the cockpit as well as managing air traffic, the airport's authority said in a statement Wednesday. The interference with the airplane's GPS reception appears to stem from a form of electronic warfare. Yes, folks, listen carefully. Electronic warfare known as spoofing, which Russia has been accused of doing in the past as a defensive measure despite the disruptions it causes to nearby aircrafts and ships. The interference appears to originate in Syria, where Russian troops and aircraft are fighting on behalf of the country's dictator Bashar Assad, Israeli officials said, speaking on condition of anonymity. The Israeli Defense Forces refused to comment publicly on the source of the interference, but said it has not affected its operations. The issue of the civilian concern of the IDF provides technological support in order to facilitate freedom of movement within Israel's airspace, the army said. The IDF operates continuously to maintain operational freedom of movement and superiority in the electromagnetic spectrum. The Israeli Airline Pilots Association said that Russia's spoofing was a fairly advanced method of feeding GPS receivers with incorrect location data by a transmitter, making it appear to the pilot as though the aircraft is in a different location, sometimes miles away. As the GPS receiver continues to show location information, it does not immediately appear as a malfunction. This type of blocking requires great technical knowledge and high mechanical capability, which is not possessed by individuals or organizations, the association wrote on Twitter. In other words, governments. Since the interference began, planes in Israel have had to use an alternative method for landing known as the instrument landing system. It is a safe and professional method that is used every day in airports around the world, including Israel, the airport's authority said. The GPS reception problem only affects airplanes in the sky, not sensors on the ground. Ben Gurion airport controllers have been giving full guidance to planes that are taking off and landing. At no point has there been a safety incident connected to this GPS interference or related to navigation of instructions or flight paths, the airport spokesman said. GPS spoofing problems have been reported in Russia in the past. In June 2017, over 20 ships experienced GPS interference while sailing through the Black Sea, showing the vessels to be 25 nautical miles closer to the shore than they actually were, and in some cases on land. Similar anomalies have been reported around the Kremlin and Putin's palace. Researchers have surmised that Russian officials used GPS spoofing as a protective measure for Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to Norwegian news outlet NRK Beta, during the GPS interference in the Black Sea, Putin was located nearby inspecting a natural gas pipeline. Areas in Norway and Finland close to the Russian border have also reported this type of GPS interference. Okay. So look at this. Now this particular article, this is on gpsworld.com/Russia practices widespread spoofing. You can read this is a summary of, actually, if you go down to this particular link, you can look at the report that they have, or you can even download it on a PDF file, and that report is this particular. You can look at this link, and it goes in extensive detail all about this spoofing. Well, can I get this thing to move? Yeah, there we go. The locations of spoofing that has happened in the past. And of course, Khamenei Air Base in Syria is one of the locations. And of course, this is where it's coming from against Israel. All right. And it, like I said, it goes into great detail if you want to dig into this. As I said, Russia is doing this, has been doing this in the past 3 weeks, and I believe that they are taking advantage of Israel's political situation. And Israel's political situation, as you know, they had a government. And their government was fell apart due to Avigdor Lieberman's dropping out as defense minister and pulling out of the coalition. So then they had an election in April where Benjamin Netanyahu and his coalition won the election. But once again, Avigdor Lieberman makes sure that he does not get a majority, throwing the Israeli electoral process into chaos. So they plan on having elections in September. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Benjamin Netanyahu does an about face. I think I'll go to devka.com on this one. And let's see if there's an article still available concerning that particular. I don't see it. Well, I'll just go by memory, I suppose. So now all of a sudden, Benjamin Netanyahu is looking at canceling the elections and forming a unity government. Let me see if I can let me see if I can find something on that. This is on the Jerusalem Post, and it's on a few others. Let me go to jta.com and see. Jewish Telegraph Agency. Netanyahu considering plan to cancel Israel's September election and form unity government. Now, this was posted on the 26th. That was just yesterday. Okay. Now, remember, the spoofing that Russia has been doing has been going on for the last 3 weeks. Do you suppose that the Russia spoofing, cyber attacks, cyber warfare against Israel is the reason why Benjamin Netanyahu has done an about-face and wants to form a unity government? Please understand, folks, that there's only 2 times in Israeli history that Israel has formed a unity government. The first time was in preparation for the Six-Day War, in which Russia instigated, or the USSR in those days instigated this war. But we see, folks, that in the current climate, political climate in Israel, the other parties do not want a unity government. They claim they will not form a unity government. They, in fact, this morning, I believe on the Jerusalem Post, Ehud Barak, a former prime minister here, was just posted yesterday. I'll just go and type Ehud Barak forms new party. Okay, here it is, 16 hours ago. Netanyahu party. And in this, his goal is to defeat Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud. He says, I know Netanyahu and he has come to the end of his path, Barak said in a news conference in Tel Aviv. As your former commander, I have to tell you, it is forbidden for you to remain in power. This is your last chance to leave under your own initiative. In other words, what appears to be is it looks like there is not going to be any unity in Israeli politics anytime soon, no matter even if Russia commits cyber warfare against Israel. So what am I getting at here, folks? On breaking Israel news, and let me tell you all from the outset, I do not follow the Talmud. I don't believe any of it. This is probably one of the things why, one of the reasons why I would be rejected by the Jewish establishment, even though I am, I would say, more Zionist than most Israelis around the world. I would be rejected because of my unbelief in the Talmud. So when I read this, please understand where I stand concerning the Talmud, and I will tell you what I believe here and what I don't believe. What we have here is a Rabbi Ekutiel Fish, an expert in Jewish mysticism who blogs in Hebrew under the name Motad Kamal, told Breaking Israel News that the final redemption is very close indeed. He also noticed two signs that this is so, signs that will be seen in newspaper headlines. According to our calculations, there will be a war by the end of the summer, certainly before the Jewish high holidays. One of his calculations was based upon a section in the Talmud. Well, this is what I'm getting at. I don't believe his calculation because I do not believe the Talmud. All right, so I'm not even going to go into this because why would I go into it if I don't believe it? But I'm going to start reading from this point to the next one where they asked Rebbe Kaduri before he died what he thought. And he said something very interesting. So I will start here. According to Jewish tradition, there will be two end-of-days conflicts, the Gog and Magog conflict, which foreign nations rise up against Israel, and another internal conflict between Jewish and Jewish mixed multitude. The gate fell. This is concerning the Talmudic gate falling. When Avigdor Lieberman, the head of the Israel Beitenu party, resigned as defense minister, breaking the ruling coalition and leading to a call for elections, Rabbi Fish said. It fell again when Netanyahu failed to make a coalition last month, leading to a second round of elections for the first time in Israeli history. The rabbi made a prediction about the future in Israeli politics. The gate will fall a third time, Rabbi Fish said. This will happen when the second round of elections fail. Again, there will be no coalition. The root source of this political failure is the same as the mixed multitude and the Exodus, where methodology was to vie for the leadership of Israel by sowing discontent. Rabbi Fish's prediction that the elections will fail to create a new Israeli government is consistent with a 40-year-old prophecy that was recently revealed in Breaking Israel News. Rabbi Kaduri, the most prominent Kabbalist of this generation, was asked when Moshiach would arrive and whether there were signs that would precede his arrival. The rabbi answered, when there will be elections, but there will be no government. Huh? When there will be elections, but there will be no government? Notice that they did not point to anywhere in the Talmud for what Kaduri said. And was it a prediction? You can't really call that a prediction. But the question is, did he get that from anywhere in the prophets? I think, notice folks, I think I might have an answer for that question. Ezekiel 34. I'm asking the question, did Kaduri, when he said there will be elections but there will be no government, did he get that from Ezekiel 34? Let's examine. Now, Ezekiel 34, folks. Now, preachers have diluted this particular chapter to the point of being meaningless. Let us not do that. Let us take the words of our Father in heaven literally. So if this is talking about a prophecy against Israel's shepherds, then it's a prophecy against who? Israel's shepherds. Who are Israel's shepherds? The political establishment in Israel. Now, verse 1, and the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. I want to go ahead and do Strong's Concordance, because I think that every time I read scripture, I need to correct King James Version when it says the Lord. That is not his name. Jehovah is his name. It means I am that I am, or in English, proper English, the existing one. The one where all existence comes from. One individual, Jehovah. Came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel, prophesy and say unto them, Thus says Jehovah, Elohim, or Adonai, Jehovah. Unto the shepherds. Woe. Okay. Let's look at the word woe. It is ho-e in Hebrew. It means alas, or like the Hebrew term oy vey. It's bad news. It's not good. Okay, so we'll go back and continue reading. Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? You eat the fat, you clothe with the wool. You kill them which are fed, but you feed not the flock. The disease you have not strengthened, neither have you healed which was sick. Neither have you bound up that which was broken, neither have you brought again that which was driven away. Neither have you sought which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have you ruled them. Our Father in heaven, holy is his name, is making accusations against the Israeli government. And since he is the author of truth, he is telling the truth. Now, for the last few years, I have been going after the Gentiles for their mistreatment of Israel. But today, I'm going over Ezekiel 34 and talk about the Israeli leadership's mistreatment of their fellow citizens, but in context of what happens next. Disease you have not strengthened, neither have you healed which was sick, neither have you bound up which was broken, neither have you brought back again that which was driven away. There are many Israelites who are not able to come back into the Holy Land because the leadership in Israel has set a criteria that even they themselves fail. Now, I have mentioned in the past that it's partly because of the Gentiles rejecting the, how do I say this, any possibility that Israel expand to its borders as written in Yehoshua 1 verses 1 through 4. However, in this short period of time during the Trump administration, as I pointed out a week or two ago, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, had an opportunity, and he made a promise that he would annex portions of Judea and Samaria if his coalition was elected. His coalition was elected, and he still refused to annex those portions. Well, when you annex those portions, it allows more Jews and ultimately more of all Israel to come in. So when you're reading Ezekiel 34, he says, the disease you have not strengthened, neither have you healed which was sick, neither have you bound up which was broken, neither have you brought back again which was driven away. What he is saying is, when the government of Israel, when they came back and established a government, one of their main responsibilities was to bring all Israel back. And they have not done it. What they have done is they wanted to please the Gentile governments, wanted to get along with them, and in doing so, shut the door to the rest of the Jews who were scattered, or to the rest of all Israel who was scattered. And he's calling them out for it. Neither have you sought that which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have you ruled them, just like the Romans, just like the Roman governments. The judicial system is patterned after Rome. And they were scattered because there is no shepherd. And they became meat to all the beasts of the field. That would be to the Gentiles. And they were scattered when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yes, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did seek nor search for them. For this reason, you shepherds, listen to the word of Jehovah. And then he swears. That's right. He swears by his own name, by his own self. As I live, saith Jehovah, surely because my flock became a prey, and my flock became meat to every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd, neither did my shepherds search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves and didn't feed the flock. Now, all you've got to do is take a look at the scandal, the Netanyahu scandal, and all the other scandals concerning putting leadership putting themselves first, including Ariel Sharon and Yitzhak Rabin and others. Behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my flock at their hand. What does that mean? Require? That is to seek. Let's look at this word carefully. To resort to seek, to avenge. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is not good for the Israeli leadership. That's the reason why it says oy vey, or oy, or woe to the shepherds. Avenge, I will avenge my flock. Now it says at their hand. Let's see what it says here. That have been abandoned? Is that what it means? There's all kinds of different helpless is there, but hand, discouraging, delivered. So that particular word has all kinds of meanings. It could mean just with his right hand. Okay? And cause them to cease from feeding the flock, neither shall the shepherds feed themselves anymore. For I will deliver my flock from out of their mouth, that they may not be meat for them. So what is our Father in heaven calling the leadership in Israel? Well, what is described here is a bunch of wolves. This is what he's calling the leadership in Israel, essentially. Wolves. Well, they created a Roman-style government. The Roman government is a wolf. Now, for thus saith Jehovah Elohim. Now, as you can see, the Israeli government is in complete disarray. Why? Well, the answer is because they don't care about the people. They care about themselves. For thus saith Jehovah, or I should say, Adonai, Jehovah. Behold, I, even I. Well, it says right here, avenge. Right here, the word again, darash, to resort to seek to avenge. Comes with reckoning, demand, inquire, investigate, search carefully. Now we see we're getting closer to the truth here. I will avenge, inquire, and search for my sheep. And they used bakar, to inquire, to seek. Like a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day when he is among his sheep, yes, he will be in the midst of his sheep that are scattered. And so I will seek out my sheep and will deliver them out of all the places where they were scattered in that cloudy and dark day. What is that cloudy and dark day? It is written about in Joel 2, in the very last verses of Joel 2. It is written in Joel 3. It is written in Revelation 6. Sixth seal. You can look up the sixth seal. That's where it's also written. Yehoshua, Messiah, has spoken about that cloudy and dark day where the elect are going to be gathered from the four winds. Right here it says Israel is going to be gathered in that cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the Gentiles and gather them from the nations, the countries, from the lands, and will bring them into their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and all inhabited places of the country or the land, the Eretz of Israel. I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. And there they will lie in a good fold and in a fat pasture, and they shall feed upon the mountains of Israel. Well, Samaria is one of the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, saith Adonai, Jehovah. And I will seek that which was lost, and bring again which was driven away, and I will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick, and I will destroy the fat and the strong, and I will feed them with judgment. Who are the fat and the strong? The Israeli leadership. Oy vey. And even though the Trump team, headed by prominent Jews in the United States, even though they are not a part of the Israeli leadership in Israel, they are still a part of the Jewish leadership around the world. And as Donald Trump condemned the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action for Iran, and it was indeed a raw deal against Israel, he and his team of prominent Jews come up with a plan much like the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action for the sons of Pelesheth, people today call Palestinians. Now, if the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action was a raw deal for Israel, how can the Peace to Prosperity plan for the sons of Pelesheth be anything different? Well, it can't. It's another stab in the back against Israel. And is it any wonder where it says, but I will destroy the fat and the strong and feed them with judgment? Is it any wonder? Why is it that the fat and the strong among the Jews turn and attack the state of Israel? Bernie Sanders is another one of them. As for you, O my flock, thus saith Adonai Jehovah, behold, I will judge between cattle and cattle, between the rams and the he-goats. Think it a small thing that you have eaten up the good pasture, but you must tread down your feet the rest of your pastures? To have drunk of the deep waters, but you must foul the rest of it with your feet. And as for my flock, they eat that which you have trodden down with your feet. And they drink which you have fouled with your feet. Therefore, thus saith Jehovah Elohim unto them, behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle, because you have thrust with the side and with shoulders, and pushed all the disease with your horns, until you have scattered them abroad. Therefore will I save. This is how I will save my flock. Wow. This is how I will save my flock. And they shall be no more a prey, and I will judge between cattle and cattle. And I will set up one shepherd over them. In other words, the government of Israel is going to be replaced, thrown out, rejected, and replaced with a monarch. And he will feed them. Even my servant, son of David. And he will feed them. And he will be their shepherd. And Jehovah will be their Elohim. And my servant, son of David, a prince among them. Jehovah has spoken. And I will make with them a covenant of peace. Yes, this covenant of peace that the Gentiles among mainstream Christianity claims is going to be a covenant of false peace. But this is the real covenant of peace. It will cause the evil beasts to cease from out of the land. Oh, what do you think these evil beasts are? Cease from out of the land. Is that literal or figurative, or is it both? I say both. And they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods, and I will make them in places round about my hill, Zion, Jerusalem, a blessing, and I will cause a shower to come down in this season, and there will be showers of blessing, and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in the land, and shall know Jehovah, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered from them from the hand of those who serve themselves of them. This is very, very strong language, folks. He equates the Gentiles which serve themselves on the backs of Israel and the leadership in Israel as the same. And it says, and they shall be no more a prey to the heathen, the Goyi, the nations, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, What plant of renown? Or plantation. A name, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land. Neither shall they bear the shame of the heathen anymore, and they shall know that Jehovah, they shall know their Elohim, the house of Israel are my people, saith Jehovah Elohim. And you, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your Elohim, saith Jehovah. Or says Adonai, Jehovah. Is this where Kaduri got his information from? I suspect that would be the case. When he said, I see right here. Kaduri, the most prominent Kabbalist of this generation, was asked when the Moshiach would arrive and whether there were any signs that would precede his arrival. He answered, when there will be elections, but there will be no government. I'm pretty well convinced of this. And this is happening. This disarray in the government is happening while Russia is committing acts of cyber warfare against Israel. So, the question is when? Well, we don't know when, do we? No. But if we're watching, if we're paying attention, we won't be taken unawares when it does happen.